Hi there, I'm Phil, and welcome to another of my Essential Movies videos, where I take a spoiler-free look at a film that I think every film lover and budding filmmaker should check out. Today, we're looking at The Manchurian Candidate. Now, there are two versions of this film. We're looking at the first original version from 1962, directed by John Frankenheimer and starring Frank Sinatra, Lawrence Harvey, Janet Leigh, and Angela Lansbury, and was written by Frankenheimer and George Axelrod from the novel by Richard Condon. John Frankenheimer, the director, was at the top of his form at this point. He made many well-known films, 7 Days in May, The Birdman of Alcatraz, later in his career, Ronin, with Robert De Niro. He makes gritty, realistic political thrillers and action films, and this is among his best. This film was very controversial at the time. It deals with, fundamentally, the Cold War between the US and the Soviet Union. And it was not released in many Soviet countries, of course, until after the fall of the Soviet Union. Set at the time of the Korean War in the 1950s, it deals basically with the brainwashing of several US soldiers and the perceived communist threat by the American government through the McCarthy hearings.
And I have here a list of the names of 207 persons who are known by the Secretary of Defense as being members of the Communist Party.
Now, I can't tell you more than that at this point, but it is a vitally compelling political thriller. And it's one of Frank Sinatra's best performances. He acted in many films, of course, but he's best known as a singer and an actor in musicals. But he did many dramatic roles, and this was his best. Sinatra also co-produced the film, so he had a vested interest in this story being well told. But to me, the best performance in the film comes from Angela Lansbury. She is astonishing in this film, playing Lawrence Harvey's mother.
Raymond, I'm your mother. How can you talk to me this way? You know I want nothing for myself. You know that my entire life is devoted to helping you and to helping Johnny. My boys, my two little boys.
And she is a political animal, trying to get her husband, Lawrence Harvey's stepfather in the film, elected ultimately as President of the United States. She gives one of the most chilling performances ever in movies. I'm not kidding. Now, you may know Angela Lansbury best from her TV series, Murder, She Wrote, or as Mrs. Lovett in the original production of Sweeney Todd on Broadway.
Customer!
This, however, is her best performance, I think, ever in her career. It's worth watching the film just for that.
One last step. And then when I take power, they will be pulled down and ground into dirt for what they did to you.
And while this film is now 60 years old, it's still surprisingly very politically relevant. It also came shortly before the assassination of John F. Kennedy. And Frank Sinatra was good friends with Kennedy, and they talked about the film.
A year from now, when this picture is released, if Kennedy is just about to have some sort of a rapport with the Russians, it's going to embarrass them. And you said, I saw the president, and the president said, what are you going to do next? And I said, the Manchurian Candidate. And he said, great, who's going to play the mother?
He was really interested, though, in the facts of the project itself, you know.
Another mildly controversial scene is this one where we meet Rosie, Janet Leigh's character, because the dialogue is so bizarre. It's actually brilliantly written subtext and gives you an insight into the theme of the film, which is anyone telling the truth?
Maryland's a beautiful state.
This is Delaware.
I know. I was one of the original Chinese workmen who laid the track on this stretch. But, nonetheless, Maryland is a beautiful state. So is Ohio, for that matter.
I think that's the shot that's in the movie, is take one. I know Sinatra was always better on take one, and Janet was just terrific. It's quite an extraordinary scene. It's almost word for word from the book. That's almost all Richard Condon's dialogue. People say, well, where did you ever think up dialogue like that? Well, the answer is I didn't, and nor did George Axelrod. That's Richard Condon.
So check out the original version of The Manchurian Candidate. It's one of the films that I think every film lover and budding filmmaker should see at some point in their career. If you'd like to learn more about filmmaking, check out my book, linked in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
There are exactly 57 card-carrying members of the Communist Party in the Department of Defense at this time.